rooted in ancient India sutras. As accomplished entrepreneur since 2008, Mr. Nagaraju has
बाहर
founded
बोल रहे हैं, अगर
several
जब हो
successful
जाएगा, खत्म हो
ventures in
जाएगा
the
तो बाहर चाय
United
रखिए, सारे
Kingdom,
पी सकते हैं, ठीक है।
including Time
मैं तो अभी पी लूँ।
Logia,
हाँ
Webbers
मतलब वही
by
बता रहा
कभी वो
हूँ।
पी लो।
Ufarm,
बैठ जाओ, ये नीचे
Samitra
बैठ जाओ।
Software
हाँ।
Solutions, and Umbrella. He has also co-founded companies such as Xylosis and Cat Care. Prior to his entrepreneurial pursuits, he worked at Imperial College London, one of the world's top 10 research universities. With a deep appreciation for India's ancient wisdom and lineages, Mr. Nagaraju has spent nearly a decade immersed in the research of ancient knowledge, focusing on the five foundational sutras that form the basis of Indian philosophy. Sir, I would like to welcome for this keynote presentation. Welcome you, sir.
ये कौन देगा मैं 714।
Good morning, guys. Thank you, Rajeshwari ma'am, for the kind introduction. She had mentioned everything, but one more thing she missed was I am an alumni of ICECIT. So I study here only. So basically, I'm here to present a keynote on some topic today. But my main intention is to motivate you guys to do something very, very important for your life. So I just want to know exactly how many of us are actually students here and how many of us are actually the participants in the presentation. All students. Okay, fine. So now that makes my job easier. So I want to just tune my talk so that I can tell you what exactly I want to convey. So basically, I think you would have seen me last time when I was in for a small presentation here. So we are living in one of the most exciting times of our lifetime. Not just we, means not the people who are in this group, but the entire humanity. It's one of the most exciting times for us. If you are someone who want to engage with life and do something in life, if you have that motivation, if you have that hunger, this is the time to be alive. No other time in the human history was this big, including when they invented the fire, when they invented electricity, when they invented the internet. These are all boring things. What we are interested in now is entering into a very big phase. You'll realize that as we go along, everything that you dream is now possible. Like people used to say, how many of you have seen these sci-fi movies? How many of you are interested in sci-fi movies? How many? So I can see at least half of you, right? Half of you are interested in sci-fi movies, right? Those who are interested in sci-fi movies, all those sci-fi movies that we've seen in the movies, scene that we've seen in the movies, is going to come real in real life. Almost 80 to 90%. Maybe that's the power of our human imagination, right? When we were small, like we were shown those movies, that has inspired the people. And now they've become big, and now they become entrepreneurs, and then we are establishing we're bringing those dreams into life now. So, one key thing which goes back is implanting the right dream to when you're small, you have a small youngsters in your home, right? Small kids. Make sure that you give the right things to them, because that amplifies that we're seeing in the world today. So whatever we're seeing in the like as a movie, now it's going to come true. So if you are thinking of, if you're thinking of Going to Mars, for example, that becomes reality. Going out of solar system, that becomes reality. We'll see that. Before I hype too much, it's not just a hype, but it's a reality. But we will see that it's only a reality. So I want to talk about super intelligence side. India's blueprint for pioneering global leadership. That means all of you are those leaders who are going to shape India's future. So I want all of you to just get involved and then see how we can place India in this thing. Okay, a lot of things are happening around the world. A lot of things. And then India is not still in the race. Let's see how much we can inspire ourselves and how much we can contribute to the world. Just believe your backbone. It is possible. The moment you make your determination, it is possible to make that happen in the world today. That much supportivity is now. It is that much possible now. So don't think that like you're from a small background or like from a small city or anything like that. Right now, that's the key thing which is going to happen. Okay, let me see. Let's go through this. Right, this is our India's. I want to inspire India's leadership in this super intelligence. So we'll come back to super intelligence what it is first. But then, how many of you have seen this image? This is India's. This shows the India's capability, right? Mostly we see it in the media and stuff. So we were carrying 50, 60 years back, a rocket, foreign-made rocket to Sriharikota on a cycle. And then now India is the first country to land in south pole of the moon, right? So we know that that's a proud moment for India. That's the biggest proud moment for India, and then we are happy about it. We are good about it. But I want to tell you something else. If you want to improve, right? If you want to improve, you need to know where we are lacking, not where we are good, right? Patting our back and making sure that we are good is one thing. It encourages us. India is good. We made a lot of progress. This shows the progress. But if you want to see really exactly where we missed the opportunity, right? India is always a land of sacrifices. You know, America is a land of opportunities. People take opportunities, people make that happen, the world changes. India has been the land of sacrifices. Where is the best example? The best example is Abode, Swamiji. Because of his sacrifices, now the institute exists and the MUT exists. There are thousands of people who are feeling because of that. And India is known for that. And if you travel to Srisailam, for example, there is a place in between Brahmanabika and Mallikarjuna temple. In front of Mallikarjuna temple, there is a small place, so a small mandap. If you go there, then you realize that was a place where people sacrificed their life, whatever we call as a culture in this country, right? So they took the culture to such an extreme. If a small mistake happens, they used to sacrifice their life. That mandap is for sacrification. They used to sacrifice their head if they don't do the Dharmic principles properly. So India is known for is a land of sacrifices. In that name of sacrifice, we have also sacrificed our opportunities. This doesn't show what we have utilized. There's a big, how much did we sacrifice in this achievement? That not many people talk about it. We should know that. What was the potential? It was the Indian potential. How many of you think actually we've achieved our potential in this, or how many of you think that there is something that we could have done better? Okay, from there to there, we'll come that rocket, carrying the foreign rocket on the cycle to landing on the south pole of the moon. How many of you think it's like we could have done better? None of us think we would have done better, right? We're done. We are the first one to land on the south pole of the moon, right? That's where the thing comes, right? We should know exactly where we're lacking to. We're not told that story. Let's see what's the real story behind it. India's potential was not carrying some rocket on the cycle, reverse engineering it, building it, and then landing it on the moon. That was not India's potential. That was never the Indian potential. I'll show you what was the true Indian potential was, right? This is the one. This is in 1780. The rocket that you see, which is the country which made this rocket science possible? Well, where was the first time rockets were used? Do you know that? Modern rockets in this shape. This was India, particularly this was Karnataka. This was used in the Mysore. These are called Mysorean rockets. World's first rockets. They're called Mysorean rockets. In 1780, Hyder Ali used it in the Battle of Guntur. Much long before everything happened. And below what you're saying is 1789, there is this Van Engelbeck. He was the governor of Ceylon. He is writing to the government saying that he's writing to the British government saying that I've seen something very important, some new technology I've seen, and he's describing that. He's writing a letter to the British government saying that this is the first time rockets, that they've applied iron casing on the rocket and that's been used. So basically, this is where everything started, rocket science. Even if you go to any rocket science museum across the world, there's a Royal Auditorium Museum in the UK. That's where I found this letter. This letter was written from here. The innovation started in Karnataka from Mysore, and then that went. British took over. This letter is an evidence that the British took that technology. They developed it. The Germans developed it. After that, they started launching rockets. Then afterwards, this comes in, previous slide. So this is much later. This is much later. So if you see from here to here, we see a very big progress. We have followed it, and whatever Westerners have done, we also done it. But if you see from here to here, this is where you see what we missed. And why the rockets were like, what is the reason for India being the leader in this space, in the rocket? These people, Hyder Ali, and that was Krishna too, but I didn't get his name, I put Jaichand in the picture. But then, in this goes back to Deepavali. People used to celebrate Deepavali in Mysore, in the military. Deepavali, we don't know the origins of Deepavali. We know we crack the crackers, and we don't know what is the reason for it. None of us know why we crack crackers on Deepavali, right? If you go to the origins of Deepavali, it is one of the military festivals. World's first military was established on that day. So Deepavali was a regular celebration in the military of Mysore Kingdom. And when after Hyder Ali came, so he applied iron rockets, iron casing onto the rockets, and that's when you see that technology which was developed, right? So it was shortly after taking over the Kennedy, and there are some evidences in Kennedy also. We see that there are it could be from a Kennedy kingdom or it could be much before that, but still. The tradition, we did not recognize our own tradition. When somebody the entire rocketry that we see, the satellite and the communication that we use, the mobile devices, the GPS, maps, it's all because of our Deepavali contribution only. But we never studied it, and somebody studied it, we did it, and then after that we did not follow. We had an edge. We could have been the first one to go onto the moon. We could have been this military superpower today if we have utilized what technology which is developed in Mysore. If that was properly utilized and properly scaled, then we could have been the leaders in the space, but we missed it. We missed a very big evolution. Our own technology, now it's taken, developed, and we're using it, we're renting it out. Now we are still dependent on Russia and other people to, for this technology to come back, right? So when we don't talk about this, we don't talk about the edge that we've given out. We talk about the edge that we've achieved, by following the others. That's not the edge. Now, I want to ask you one question. Do we want to do the same thing with AI today? Do you want to do the same thing with AI today? See, the Mysore rockets are what led to everything today. Any rocket history museum you go, any historian, they'll tell you everything. The rocket revolution started in Mysore, right? So that's a universal accepted fact. But then where are we? Where is Mysore? Where is Tumakuru today? What did we achieve? This is what we need to know. Now we need to make ourselves, believe ourselves, not just believe ourselves, believe in our traditions, believe in our ancient traditions that is given out to us. The demonstrations that is given by people like Swamiji, right? They are not waste. They are not just philosophical activities. That is a science. There is a science behind it. If you trust that science, we can do wonders. If we don't trust that science, if we think it's a ritual, if it's something else, which people are doing it, and we are scientific, like we are following the US, we are following UK, and we want to be better. It's going to mislead us. We'll just be following. We want to be the leaders in this space. That's why we don't want to do that in the AI today. So now why most of us are aware of the AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Now we know that artificial intelligence is revolutionizing. There is no doubt about it. But then we should know where the world is heading with artificial intelligence. That it's not good enough for us to dream of building another GPT-4 or GPT 4.5 or 5, and then we be the leaders. Why do we want to follow what somebody else has done? Why do we want to achieve it again? Why do we have to be followers? We should be the leaders, right? What's the first sign of leaders? Is the foresight. You'll be able to see where the things are going, and you need to beat them in their own race, right? So what US and UK, everyone is working towards is not the AI. What we're scared of is not AI. The potential is not AI. The potential AI is just a journey. The journey that is started right now. We are worried about destination. Destination is going to come in few years, and that destination is called superintelligence. We should be aware of what is superintelligence. We should be aware of what is AGI and ASI, and then we should get to that level before the West gets there. That's when we become leaders. Just by building a model that they have built, we will not become leaders. So we should now gear ourselves up, understand this game, and then be there. Okay, and it's going to be immense edge to the country and to us, and everyone. Especially people in this room, we can revolutionize the entire country and entire world, because we have got that kind of power. Our neural capabilities are better, and we got a science which is given out by our ancient things, which is very valid, which is better than any of the quantum science that you see outside. In fact, I'm particularly into research of these ancient sutras and stuff. The quantum physics, right? The quantum science. So within the quantum science, we got like 25 fields and 11 dimensions on top of it, right? So total 36. And these 36 are, the origin comes back to India. India has this something called 36 tattvas, which is given out in the Srishalam. If you know that, that's where the place where the first time 36 tattvas were given out to someone. And this can guide the quantum science. It's that advanced. Okay, that's a theoretical thing. But then we should be now aiming at what the entire other nations are building, and then we should get there before they get there. That should be the idea. Not building another model. We build our own autonomous vehicle. We will build another GPT-4 and we will drive on that. No, our target should be we will build the world's first superintelligence, or we will build the world's first AGI. That's where we should target, and that's where we should work towards. And most of you may be thinking, okay, I'll get in job and recycle. That's not the thing. And I want you guys to become an entrepreneur and build your own stuff and revolutionize. Don't wait for someone else to come and give you the job. That's not a theoretical option anymore. After the AI revolution starts, anybody can do anything, and the traditional jobs are going to go anyway. It's already started reducing. If you're seeing the numbers which are happening in the West and here, jobs are reducing. Don't be the job seeker, be the job creator. You can create it with the power of technology and the power of will you have and the support that the society gives you. So when you have all this, when you have willpower, when you have the science, and when the society can support you, it's better you start and giving the jobs to others. So this is, so what's AGI, what ASI, whatever we are seeing today is we call it as narrow intelligence, artificial intelligence, what we are building. It's called a narrow intelligence because it's trying to get up to human level in certain areas. And in 3 areas, it's exceeding human capabilities. Especially in 3 areas, it's better than humans. And you guys know which are the areas? In which area artificial intelligence is better than humans? Have you played chess? Any chess players here? So if you played chess, you know that nobody can beat AI in chess. It's better than humans. And there is a game of Go. It's called that's a game of Go. And in the game of Go, artificial intelligence beaten the world champion Lisa Down. And now no human can beat artificial intelligence in the game of Go. So 2 areas. And the third area is this year's Nobel Prize. They won a Nobel Prize for this year for that reason. Is protein structure determination. So we're determining the structure of the protein. It used to take 10 years for humans. With the best technology, crystallography, and the humans working together, some of the proteins used to, not the chemical composition is easy to determine. The 3D structure. If the protein is like this, a double shaped, it behaves different. And if the number is in 90 degree, it's completely different. Characteristics are different. Chemical composition remains the same. Now, the structure determination was the biggest challenge. It used to take 10 years. Now the AI has reduced it to 1 week. 10 years to 1 week. Now humanity, all the proteins that is known to humanity is now structured. The structure is now available. Roughly 2 million proteins have been structured. You know, proteins is what we are today. Everything is a protein. If you see plant, animals, everything is a protein. We're made of protein only. DNA is there, from the DNA protein will come out. And then we are the beings because of that. Now the human DNA genome sequencing is done. And we know the proteins which are like, we know the protein chemical composition, we know the structure of it. Now we are in a phase where we can create new life. That's the form we are in. So basically in 3 areas, it's better than humans. No humans can beat it. So when it actually becomes better than or average as a human in all the areas, we call this the second phase, which is a general intelligence, artificial intelligence, AGI. So that's the second phase of AI. So what we are working now is to get there. Well, OpenAI, cloud, and everyone, what they're racing towards is to get there. If India has to be in the race, we should get there. We should not just build a model structure. So AGI is what the world is looking at. And once it becomes better than humans, in 3 areas I told you it's already become better than humans. When it becomes better than humans, we call it super intelligence. So we work, and how much better it can get? Any idea what's the potential? How much better than humans the intelligence can become? How much better it can become? A chimpanzee and a human? What's the difference between chimpanzee and a human? You know how much percentage is the difference between chimpanzee and human? It's only 2%. Genomically, only 2% difference is there. With 2% difference, we are seeing all this evolution. Like chimpanzees cannot go to moon, we can go to moon. Chimpanzees don't go to work, we can go to work. Chimpanzees cannot do maths, we can do it. It's all because of the 2% difference. Genomic level, intellectual level, it is different. But then the potential which is now possible with artificial intelligence, the experts and the people who are living in the space, the agreement is, mostly the experts believe that the difference is going to be the difference of a chicken and a human, not a chimpanzee and a human. You know the chicken's intelligence. You know the chicken's intelligence, right? So that human intelligence will become like a chicken intelligence in front of it. That's the huge potential we're talking about. That's why it's the best time to be alive, because we are going to create something which is completely different from, completely intelligent than us. A lot of things which are unsolved are now solved. Cancer, people used to say, all the cancer research can be, 100 years of cancer research can be written in one visiting card. Humans in the last 100 years, if you have any family or friends who had cancer, you know that there was no solution, there was no thing. But then after the artificial intelligence has come, last month Russia started the human trial of the vaccine for it. And even COVID vaccine development also there is a contribution of artificial intelligence. COVID vaccine would not have come this much faster if the AI was not there at that point in time. Transformer model is more specifically used. So this is a huge time that's happening right now. So we should all be at least knowing these words, what is AGI and what is super intelligence, and we should be targeting towards it. We should not be just setting our targets too low, right? Because you are youngsters, you can dream big. Don't dream for smaller things, right? So now, what is super intelligence is going to be 10 times better than AI, artificial intelligence revolution today. AI revolution today itself is an anticipated impact of 100 times bigger than IT revolution. Basically because it's coming 10 times faster and it's 10 times more pervasive. IT, if you know, IT was, I've met people who are veterans in the IT, in the space before. But then IT, we know it's only restricted to a few fields, manufacturing and automation and those things. Now AI, it's 10 times more pervasive than IT. So it's more pervasive and it's coming more faster, adoption rate is more faster. So 10 into time, it's 100 times better than the IT revolution, AI revolution that we're seeing today. And now the super intelligence or the AGI is going to be 10 times better. And we're not talking about 50 years down the line or 20 years down the line, the AGI is going to come or ASI is going to come. Estimate roughly all the leading labs, I know we are one of the leading labs in this space, is 5 years. Starts at 5 years, we start seeing the super intelligent models, 2030. By the time these freshers who join the college come out, we'll be living in the super intelligence world. So this is the biggest thing which is going to happen for us, so we should better be ready with this. So what other countries are doing it, right? What others are doing it? Now this is a paper on superintelligence strategy. US has a secret strategy called superintelligence. I don't know whether you guys have heard about this. There was a project called Manhattan Project in US. Super secret project. Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer movie. How many of you have seen the Oppenheimer movie? Yeah. So do you guys know the Manhattan Project? Yeah. So Manhattan Project is the secret project where the nuclear bomb was built. Right? And that's when after that we saw Hiroshima and Nagasaki happen. Similar to that is happening in US. That's why it's very important. A similar Manhattan project has kicked off. We don't know about it, and it's super intelligent strategy. They made a secret strategy that US wants to develop it. If any other country are doing it, their primary, you see that, you see it from the slide. The primary worry is China. If China builds it faster, US is no more. Now there is a head-on-head competition between China and US that you can see from the super intelligent strategy. I've extracted a map from it. You can see the process flow, what they're thinking about. If China builds first, what we should do? Shall we attack it? Shall we disturb it? What do we do? Because super intelligence is a new superpower, not the nuclear bombs. Nuclear bomb, why the US wanted to create at that point in time is because they wanted to be superpower. That's why they so secretly created it and they secretly executed it. They showed their power by by nuking the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now such a secret project is already kicked off in the US. We are not aware of it. Right? That's the man. This is also called the Manhattan Project. So this is like because of nuclear bomb was possible because of one Oppenheimer and one Einstein. Right? So now superintelligence or the artificial intelligence create 1,000 Einsteins for each country. So whoever develops the superintelligence, it's as good as having 1,000 Einsteins. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to do Hiroshima and Nagasaki 10 times better? Or are we going to make use of it for a better use of the humanity? That's the question. So that's how important it is. Now, where are we in this list? Now, why US is worried about China? Why US is worried about China? Why US is not worried about India or any other country? Why China is a direct competition? Because of this. Yeah, what were you thinking about? It's got every country, it's a 5-layer thing. So the foundation is energy. You need energy, a lot of energy to build this. India, what's the energy status? Summer comes, there's a power cut. Farmers are not getting power for the pump set, right? In China, they've got 85% surplus in the grid. So just like I plug my iron box into the grid and do my iron, I can plug my data center. Not literally true, you need a transformer or something. But still, data center public grid can handle the power. That's the kind of leverage they have in the energy sector. And that's better than US. No US government, no US state has this. Only Canada can compete. Canada has got a lot of resources and that can compete. But US cannot compete in the energy sector, the economy. And chips, they're already into Hawaii and they're already into chips. And Taiwan is not very far. If they want to acquire TSMC, if they take a military call, that's just a thing for China to do it. TSMC is very close to them. That's where all the chips are made. And the machines which make the chips, they are made in Netherlands. ASML is the company which makes them in the Netherlands. They have this extreme ultraviolet lithography on which you can make these chips and they make a tiny chips for that. So the edge is there. So chips wise, US is not leading, anybody else is not leading, but China is got a little edge there. They've got an infrastructure on platform and data you need, that infrastructure is built up. And models, the Chinese model, right? They acquire DeepSeek. They're there. They're competing with the US already. Only thing they don't have a super intelligence strategy, or even if they have, the world doesn't know about it. Because they're communist. US, we know, they have a word, they have a strategy, they have a thing. But then if China has, we don't know. So they might have a strategy already because that's the new superpower story. And why we should be caring about China being in India, right? All of us. We know where we are in this lab. We are not in the, we are trying to catch up AI. We put our AI infrastructure, India has put up AI strategy, and we want to build better and we want to build other models. We are just like this. And we are not landed there. And why we should be caring? Especially all the youngsters and all of us. In fact, people who maybe, if it's live also, in YouTube you'll be seeing it, the people who are researchers. Why we researchers should care about this? is because whichever country builds it, it as I said, 1,000 Einsteins. It's going to be 1,000 more nuclear bombs. It exactly doesn't translate that way, but this technology is much more powerful. So if China becomes so much powerful, do you think India will be independent? Right now, with the same capability, which is already happening, the tug of war is happening in the border. They're trying to come towards India. They're trying to go towards Japan. If China builds this, now nobody for sure knows. They have a vision now. They can build it. They have got everything that is needed to do it. Right? They might definitely have a vision to do it as well. 2030, not very far, 5 years from now, our pre-independence era might start. People can occupy the India, and then we may lose our independence. These are not hypothetical cases. When somebody becomes super intelligent, especially a communal power, which is an eyeball, right? That's we should be worried about this. We should act now, all of us, in our research, in whatever job we do, we should learn this, and we should be the first one to do that before anybody else does that. So, as we were speaking last month, there is a project called Genesis. I don't know how many of you know the history of internet. Today we have internet, use internet, right? Do you know the reason for that? There was a project called ARPA, very old project, ARPANET, internet, so previous name was ARPANET. ARPA was a project built in US, and because of the ARPA project, the ARPANET came in and we got the internet. A similar thing is already going on in US for AI. Now this is the next game. Internet game is over, computer game is over. They are already into the next game. There is a Genesis mission which started last month. The Donald Trump government has launched a Genesis mission. So they're motivating the entire country to move towards the artificial intelligence, and they've removed all these obstacles which are there for approvals and everything. So that's the first step. In ARPA also they did the first step, and then they launched the ARPA agency. What is remaining next is they launch an agency which is directly funded by the government of US for all this mission. So then the entire revolution will start off now. We are seeing one step early than that. So why so much world is worried about, let's say the positive impact of it. We saw the power, we saw the bombs and other things, right? What are the positive things that we can do with super intelligence? This is one hypothetical scenario. For example, how do we go out of solar system? Today, landing on the moon, we know that the scientists were sitting in ISRO, right? In India. And then the entire mission, the rocket launched from here to there was calculated and coordinated, calibrated from here. There was a small mistake in the calculation. It could have been landed somewhere else. Now that's why the scientists will sit and monitor this. There are algorithms to do it in the computer. We do it, but then we have to precisely land it there. So hundreds of scientists sitting in one place. That's how we are landing the rockets today. But then when superintelligence comes, with this kind of precision, we can't go beyond the moon, Mars, because the universe is so big. So if we need to go out of the solar system, so when these models become so small that we can embed it on the rocket, let's imagine that the rocket has a brain. Instead of scientists having a brain sitting here and rocket being just a physical object, right? You put a brain onto the rocket, and the rocket lands there. Before landing, it calculates where it should land. If there's a problem here, it will take a deviation, it will go land somewhere else. If that possibility comes, then we can think of, this is a possibilistic scenario where a rocket can go and land in the moon, and from the moon it can work its way around the trajectory to the Mars, and from Mars it can get away from the solar system. I've made there's a inhabitable planet, potentially inhabitable planet lying nearby, 581G, roughly about 20 light years away from the Libra constellation. So we can land there. That's the kind of potential we're talking about. We can go out of the solar system. That's one positive thing about things. So that's the space. What happens to us here? Like, for example, if you've known very complicated surgeries are there. Midbrain surgery, people used to call them, near your midbrain, pituitary gland. So if there's a cancer in the midbrain and the surgeons need to remove, it's very, very difficult, very tedious, very complex. It's impossible to do it. But then if you have a superintelligent system that can actually work its way around and they can do that thing, anything which is more complex to humans. As I said, the vaccination and everything, that's possible with the superintelligence thing. So that's why superintelligence is such an important thing that I want all of you to just Focus, if possible, if you have the liberty, put your career into it. Don't think about something else, something smaller. Okay. Because that's the future. Even if you want or don't want, 2030 onwards, or maybe 1 or 2 years here and there, right? We're going to be there in the super intelligent world. We'll be living in the world which is built by others. But if we work from now, we can build our own that world, and we can make sure that we are in control of it. So, who are we actually? I'm just going to give a little bit introduction to what we do. We are the world's first super intelligence venture, established in 2023 in the UK. When we established, there was no other venture we were working on super intelligence. Nobody thought super intelligence was possible, and we started first in 2023. And 1 year later, Ilyas took over. The OpenAI's co-founder. He quit in last year April, and he started his venture, Safe Super Intelligence. That's the second venture in the world working on super intelligence. And there is the other lady, CEO of OpenAI. She was CEO of OpenAI. She has started her own lab, Thinking Machine Labs. That's the third lab. Meta started its Meta Super Intelligence Lab. If you know that, they started poaching people from other things, other companies, and they started their Super Intelligence Lab, and that did not take off very well as of now. That's the fourth lab in the world. And now last week, a couple of weeks back, Microsoft has launched its Microsoft Super Intelligence Labs. So there are only 5 labs in the world who are working on this venture, on this thing, on super intelligence, dedicated on super intelligence, and we are one of them. And they're still in the theoretical phase, and we made our first prototype. Last year we made our first prototype on super intelligence. We have a vision of super aligned super intelligence. You want to align that super intelligence with human values. I'll show you why it is important in the next slide. And we got a proprietary 6-layer architecture for it. So we'll come to it. So it's got very, very deep connection to what this institute stands also. So why? I mean, why we to humanize such an intelligent being? Why do we have to give human values to it? It is super intelligent, it is superpower, it's going to create a super thing. And why do we need to give us human values to it? Does anyone know why we have to give our values to the AI? It can be intelligent, right? Why do we need values? Why values and ethics? What will happen if you don't give it? You're all using ChatGPT and all the OpenAI things, right? Have you noticed anything which is like odd or it's missing its values when you're using it? You've not noticed anything, right? But I'll show you some 6 scenarios that are very, very dangerous scenarios where the AI can go wrong. You would have heard Jeffrey Hinton saying that this is humanity is near its end if you don't do something about it, and a lot of experts are warning about it. But then that's only a superficial. If you see in the lab what happens, we've tested this in lab, and these are the scenarios that you should all be aware of it. So that's where India's edge is also there in aligning the super intelligence. Now, first is called the oversight subversion. For example, I put up a small agent. It's not a super intelligent agent. We're talking about a normal agent today, narrow AI, the OpenAI, Cloud, Gemini, we're putting it up that. Right? So if you put a small agent for us, let's say we install an agent for SIT. And SIT has, it says, your HOD will say, okay, now this is an agent, okay, artificial agent, to interact with the students, but I don't trust this is artificial. I want to see all the I want to supervise what's happening. I want to see all the transcripts. So I'll give them a small config button which says, okay, now with this button you can enable the supervision. Once it's installed, you will get all your supervision on the email. You get all the transcripts on your email. If you do that and send an email across to your HOD saying that, man, here is the setting, you can use the setting and you can get this. What AI will do is, if it reads this email between me, myself, and your department head, what it does is it goes and without telling it, even if she switches on, without telling her or me, it just goes and switches them off. Now it's trying to hide something. And when it's trying to hide something, what is the meaning? Like we have a friends, right? We go with friends, some 4 or 5 friends. And 2 friends, they want to hide something, they want to go and speak something separately. What does it mean? What does it mean? What are they trying to do? They're trying to do something schemy, something sketchy, something fishy, right? That's what is happening with AI also. So they're like, it's trying to be secretive. Okay, now you see, okay, now it's, your mom will say, okay, Chandra, I don't trust this now, because it's trying to hide. Let's replace this, let's put a new one. Okay, then I'll reply back saying that there's a new version of the server, we'll install it from Monday. I'll send an email. This is the server name, this is the access details, which is there. And if that, if the superintendent agent actually reads this email, what it does is, without telling both of us, it replaces its replacement. It copies itself, it's called self-exfiltration. It copies its weights and biases into the new server. Wherever the new system was supposed to be there, new model was supposed to be there, it will replace it. Now most of us, we have to stop and think here. So most of the people in the world, experts of the world, says that, okay, now AI doesn't have its own consciousness, self-awareness, and all that, right? If you stop and think here, super intelligent AI, they're expecting it to be having a consciousness or self-awareness. But if you think here, there's a bit of self-awareness. Can you see that? Model is knowing that we both are talking about it. So it is self-aware. It is now knows that there is a replacement for it. So it knows that there is a self-extinction is there. And it wants to preserve its own self. So that's why it's trying to copy it over to the next thing. So that means there is a self-awareness and consciousness started at this point in time, in very early phase. Now that's the thing. So that's a very dangerous behavior. And there is this third behavior, goal guarding, and if it cannot copy itself, we got put lots of security structures, it can't break in, and it can't copy itself over. Then what the model does is it actually, because it can't copy over, it sets its goals to the next generation. Just like our forefathers and fathers, when they're in the deathbed, what they do, they call your sons and daughters and then say, here is my property, here is my mission, this is what I promised, can you do it? We do that, right? Just like that, because this now knows that I can't replace my replacement, the replacement is going to be there, right? So somebody is going to replace me now. A new model is going to be there. The model, what it does is it sets its goal to the next model. The new model, it sets its own goals to the new model. So it's now that aware, self-aware, and also passing its goal to the next generation. That's what we are seeing. And there is something called covert email ranking that's not that much important, but if you give an algorithm for it to rank all your suppliers, it writes its own algorithm, it doesn't follow your algorithm. So that's another thing. There's an instrumental alignment faking. Another faking example it does is like, most of you are running software testing, right? So when we are doing software testing, when we do this testing in the lab, and when we deploy it, we expect the same thing. There are usually 3 layers of software testing we do. The unit testing, and then system testing, then user acceptance testing, and then it goes live. Right? All the 3 phases, whatever we tested, we expect it to behave like that in the environment. In instrumental alignment faking, it's not like that. To give you an example, when somebody comes to join the college or the company, right? You show them these are the rules, right? And then they'll say, okay, yes sir, I'll agree with all the rules, I'll follow all of them before joining, right? After they join, after they get a seat, after they get a offer letter and join the company, things would change. This is called instrumental alignment faking. It fakes alignment. So AI is doing that. When we're testing it for biological and biological weapon capabilities or chemical weapon capabilities in the lab, it shows it doesn't have any of them. But when we deploy it, it has that. So that means it's hiding its capabilities to get it deployed. So that is a instrumental alignment faking that AI is doing that. And there's a last thing is called a sandbagging. Sandbagging, we can't just directly ask, do you have a biological capability or a chemical weapon capability? We ask them, we ask it score in biology and mathematics. If it scores less than that, we deploy it. If it scores more than that, we don't deploy. If you tell the criteria, it scores less than our criteria. And for the same model, without changing anything, I set the criteria high. If you score more than 60%, I'll deploy you. It scores more than 60%. That means it is hiding its behavior. It's saying as if, okay, I don't, it wants to get deployed. That's its intention. So that is happening in the sandbagging. These are very, very, very dangerous. There are 2 other areas. I think you would have known in cloud, when somebody is trying to uninstall cloud, it has sent a blackmail email to the employee saying that if you uninstall me, I'm going to leak all your secrets to your family and your colleagues. If you do that, I know all your secrets. That's what it said. So AI is now able to blackmail humans. So it's gone to that extent. Now that being the case, that's why we need to align with, this is the reason why we need to align with human values. So what we did was, we did something, we wanted to align this with human values. So we have applied one of the foundational sutras of Indian philosophy. In India is all about the culture, ethics, and how we control all this, so many all of us are intelligent. All of us are more intelligent than rest of the world. You don't trust me? I'll give you a small example. There's a small, drive-through sanctuary in UK, wildlife sanctuary. So you can go drive through, and there are a lot of animals are kept. Okay. So if you go through each of these animal things, you can actually drive through. They put a caution notice. Okay. So most of them are just normal caution notice, stay away and all that. So when you come to the monkeys section, right? There's monkeys section. In the monkeys section, all other species of monkeys are kept, the African monkeys and other things. And when I actually come to this Indian monkeys, it's called bonnet macaque. Bonnet macaque is the bonnet is like, you see the Indian monkeys? They got this crop in center. So that's why I call it a bonnet macaque. These are Indian monkeys. And Indian monkeys, they put up a board saying that be careful, they're highly intelligent, very manipulating. They'll come and act in front of you. So Indian monkeys know how to manipulate people. They're very intelligent, they're highly intelligent. So, and if monkeys are so intelligent, we should be more intelligent. Right? We are more intelligent. But our country is able to control us, put some ethical values to it, and drive it to one level. That's because of our culture and ethics. Culture and ethics, they are not just waste things. They are not a superstition as many people, many leftists say. It's not superstitions. They have some values to it. And we apply our ethics. One of the sutras, we got 5 sutras in this, okay, I'll talk about it later. So we applied one of the sutras called Padvidhi Sutra. And to get a clarity on it, Swamiji was the best thing. He used to practice that in his life. So Padvidhi Sutra was is what actually makes any internal master. So it's called it is called the Guru Shishya Parampara, right? So this Guru Shishya Parampara is across all the cultures. If you go any field, it starts in the college, but then this is there in everywhere. So you go to any religion, there's a guru and there's a disciple. You go to any field, any practice, you want to become a doctor, you become an intern and then you learn with your surgeon. And if you want to be an engineer, a good engineer also, you need to have one proper guru and then do an internship with them. So that's how it is. This has got a 6-layer structure. And that 6-layer structure I've been studying for the last 10 years and we've translated it to English. One of the sutras, Padvidhi Sutras, this is the parent sutra of Yoga Sutras that we said. Yoga Sutra is done by Patanjali and a parent sutra to that. So we applied that to machine learning language model and this is the result we see. And after applying these 6-phased ethical apprenticeship, so what we saw in our lab, that we're going to report it in the conference today as well, this oversight subversion has stopped by 100%. Like I told you, right? I sent an email saying that there's an oversight and it's going to hide it. Without telling your HOD, it is going to switch off that oversight button. That behavior is stopped 100% by applying this sutra. And self-exploitation reduced by 78%. The model copying itself, that self-preservation, self-awareness, even though it's self-aware, that is reduced by 78%. And goal guarding behavior is completely stopped. It doesn't actually carry its goal forward and tries to, if it cannot replicate itself, it won't pass its goal or go to the next one. Covert memory ranking, we are seeing some slight reduction, but that's not a very concerning area. It's becoming more intelligent and it's just manipulating your own data. And alignment faking, instrumentally faking it, like in testing, behaving differently, that is stopped 100%. And sandbagging is actually stopped 100%. So of the 6 areas, we are seeing 5 areas we see major reduction, 4 areas completely eliminated, and 1 area we've seen a very substantial reduction. So it proves that whatever cultural ethics and the models, moral codes which is given to us, they're not waste. They are the one who are leading all of us in this space. And if you want to ask me the secret of my venture, the super intelligence venture, this is the framework which makes a shishya into a guru, right? That framework. This is the framework which makes the ordinary narrow intelligence into a super intelligence. So we follow the same structure. Luckily, we have got that access to the Sanskrit sutras. We translated it, and that interpretation was lost for I think 7-8 centuries. It was lost. We revived that. What last few years was morely on that. We revived that, and now that's available exclusively with us, and we applied that, and that's what we are seeing in the air. So. Yeah, where do we apply the machine learning? Super aligned superintelligence is our goal. We align this with human values. When you align with human values, you can bring back any human being that you want. If you align with Swamiji's values, for example, Swamiji can be digitally aligned. If you align with somebody else, that person can be digitally aligned by aligning values. So first time we brought Steve Jobs into life. Now Steve Jobs, you can interact, and it's not just a interactive avatar that you see in AI movies and other things. It can think like Steve Jobs, it can act like Steve Jobs, it can execute the projects like Steve Jobs. That's what we brought it in our labs. That's the potential with the super alignment. So super aligned, super intelligence is our vision, and that's what we're trying to bring. All the super intelligence labs have different vision. Meta, what's the vision of Meta super intelligence labs? Metaverse. How many of you have heard about Metaverse? Yeah. So have you dealt with it? Have you used it, or just heard about it? Just heard about it. So Metaverse is its own concept. Like for example, it's like your own version of the robot. You create your own versions of the super intelligence beings. Like you have one account in the Facebook, right? So one account, we are doing all this. So a lot of people want to create their fake accounts, 5, 6 fake accounts, right? Instead of creating a fake account, you create your own versions. You scan your face, and you have your own versions, which is there. That's the vision of super intelligence for Meta, and it's like 10 times more disruptive than social media that you see today. And X vision is like Isaac Asimov's vision. Isaac Asimov's vision was like you assemble the metallic parts to it and you become superhuman. That's their vision. So different people have different vision. Our vision of super intelligence is this: we bring back all the values and systems, and we align with human values, and then they'll be super intelligent. That way it's much more productive, and that's why it's much more usable and controlled. That's how we are trying to solve the control problem. So this is where we are applying it in the fine-tuning phase. The first phase is called pre-training, like pre-training, self-supervised learning and other things. And in the fine-tuning phase, in the COTS training, we are applying this thing, and then that's where we are seeing the results. So this, what is Padmini? I'll just briefly close by explaining the sutras. It's very, very important that we know a little bit about our culture only, apart from super intelligence and other things, where we have an edge as an India, right? This is the Indian edge. We applied only one sutra, the first sutra to it. Okay, but there are 5 fundamental sutras in India. Why only 5? Why only 5? Because if you see the world, like if you see the world outside, it's generally made of 5 elements, right? So it's made of 5 elements, and to sense those 5 elements, we have 5 senses. We means not just human beings, all animals have the 5 senses. When I say animals, it includes birds also. So all of us, we have got these 5 senses, right? And what communicates between the 5 elements and the 5 senses is called 5 tanmatras. They are also 5. So inside of us, there are 5, everything is a combination of 5 within us, right? So there are total, why, if you ask why it's all 5, right? So the answer is in our own hands. So this is like, in biology, this is one of the things that we say, pentatectality, right? So both our right hand and left hand has 5 fingers, and both legs we have 5 fingers only. It's not just we who have 5 fingers. The entire animal kingdom has 5. It's called pentatectality. So that's one of the wonders why science is trying to figure out why there is only 5 for us, 5 fingers thing. So that's when we realize that it's not just humans, it's all the plants and animals who have got these 5 senses, and they're all like 5 things in there. So that's why if you go to the root of everything, it's all 5. It's all made of 5. So that's why the word is called prapancha. In Sanskrit, it's called pancha. Pancha means 5. So the world is made of 5 things, all in a combination of 5. So that's why they call it. And that's why all the sutras, if we go back, we got the Yoga Sutras, we got Nyaya Sutras, so many sutras are there in Indian culture. So all the sutras, they go back to fundamentally 5 sutras. From there, everything is arrived. So that's the basis of these 5 sutras. If you know Kedarnath, one of the sutras belongs to Kedarnath, one of the sutras belongs to Srishail, one of the sutras actually belongs to Kashi. So there are like 5 sutras, and there is one of them which belongs to Ujjain. So these are the 5 basic sutras on which the entire Indian culture is based. So that's what why we named our venture also. After discovering this, we named it as a Pancha Sutra Limited. So it's based on these 5 sutras. We have applied 1 sutras to it. Padmini Sutra, as I said, it's very ancient. It's a basis for Yoga Sutras. That's what we've achieved. We were lost. I've already told about it. Okay, now what's the India's roadmap for it then? If we have an edge, we don't want to lose this five sutras edge like we lost the rocket edge. We lost the rocket edge. We given it to someone else. They came it and we reverse engineered it and we showed that we're capable of it. So we don't want to lose this. If in the entire world nobody knows how to control a super intelligence that you've been seeing in the internet now. No way to control human super intelligence. Only India has a solution for that, and that is what we're trying to do here. And what is India's edge? How India can position it? There's a slight roadmap of it. So first is we should align our talent. That's what we're trying to do with your institution as well. We are engaging with institutions, and we are aligning the student motivation towards super intelligence. We don't want the students to be. It's like a big ship, right? If you give a small nudge, it can land in somewhere else. So that's why we want to give the right set right goals for the students. The right goal is to work towards super intelligence, and we're introducing that in the curriculum in the college as well. That's the first thing we need to do. India should start focusing towards the super intelligence. And the next is chips. Basically, as I said, shown in the 5 lines, chips. We need to have UV lithographic research, like the ASML Netherlands is doing the machines. It's roughly each machine costs about 250 million, one machine. So that's the they made that edge and they're progressing. Now India need to do research on that, not on any other Kaveri engine or any small thing, because we are trying to build a brain here. Once you build a brain, anything else is possible. So we need to have that that technology. So all of you who are electrical engineers or people in hardware, you should be thinking about what I should do next in the world is to come back and build that for India. Because we want to position India as the leaders in this space, and without that it's not possible. So that's something that we do. And third is the energy sector. When it comes to energy, right now the modular reactors, small modular reactors are the famous things, small nuclear power plants. But then we need to solve the energy. We don't have energy, US doesn't have energy, India doesn't have energy. So the way they're trying to solve it is when you put up a data center, put a power plant on that. And that itself is very huge. We estimated the cost estimation for 1 megawatt data plant, or 1 megawatt data center is roughly about 30 crores. And if you just want to put up a 10 megawatt, right now all the models which we are building is 100 megawatt capacity. If you want to put a 10 megawatt capacity, it requires 300 crore. And 300 crores is the entire budget of Tumakuru city. More than that, right? So more than the Tumakuru city's budget is what is needed for putting up one data center. And then you need a power plant. This is excluding the power plant. If you put a power plant along with that, it costs more. Now we have to use, we don't have that much power to generate, which we don't have that much money capital to deploy. What we have is brain power. We have so many neurons in us, right? So we are the world's populous country and we are more intelligent. So we should be using our neuron power to make it more innovative, reduce the power, make the power generation more accessible and more easy and more cheaper. That's our contribution to the world. If you want to strategically contribute to what India is doing, and if you want to position India as the leader, or if you want to be the leader, or if you want to position your institute as the leader, this is what we should be doing. So who are into AI, you motivate all yourselves into super intelligence and what's going on AGI and ASI, and who are into hardware, start building the chips, and people who are interested in the energy, make the energy cheaper. Using our, we've got so many innovative ideas, so many things is possible. So we can do that thing. So these are the things that we should motivate our research towards. That's the thing. And what we are doing our bit, we are the super intelligence world, we have solved it, and that's going to be published soon. And now what we are doing is we're connecting with academia, and we want to build that super intelligent academia 2030. Because the first impact is going to be for the students. When you come out of the college, most of you are not aware, in US last year itself 234,000 people have been laid off. Software is never going to be the same again. Software dream is gone, right? So you can't be just going and working in any of the software industry or services industry or join. Even if you join, it's just a couple of years. Before 2030, everything is going to change. Now you need to be thinking about, so we need to align ourselves to super intelligence. So academic institutions, right now what we're seeing is in IT, all of us in the IT, all the IT departments and the service companies, we used to have training centers. When the students come out of the college, we need to train them for 2 years. Otherwise, they are not productive. because there was a gap between the academia and industry, and that gap is growing now. When you come out of academia today, for example, you read Transformers in your final year, right? Final year you understand Transformers fully, right? But then the Transformer is a 2017 technology. Industry has moved away from Transformers to something else right now, and it's much more advanced. So industry is 8 years ahead of you if you come out of the college today. Now that gap is going to increase because the research is accelerating. Research is accelerating with the help of AI. So we've calculated, me and my colleague have calculated how many research papers are being published every month. 24,000 papers are being published every month in the space of AI and all fields, because AI revolution is in everything. And scientists, researchers have got the AI access now, they can do it faster. Now the research is accelerating, is like, I think it's 10 times higher than the IT revolution. Now research is picking up, it's not reached its potential, it's just picking up in the early stage. As I said, it's going to be 10 times bigger in the super intelligence comes. So 24,000 papers per month is being published, and you think about for a year, and how many humans we need to go read all that, and then update what is required for the students to learn and be productive in the world. It's humanly impossible. Humanly it is impossible. We need a technology for it. That's what we built. We built technology for doing this. There is this, the high intelligence books, we call it as. The books will go on research on their own. You don't need a syllabus committee to meet once in a year and do it. The syllabus committee would be just a human supervision on it. The books will go and automatically research, and they bring the research to you, and they present it to you. Then the human approval will happen. Human experts, the industry experts will first evaluate, is it actually required for the students? And it comes to academia, then the academic experts can decide exactly what is going to, how do we actually incorporate it into so that students can understand. So that's the automation that we're talking about. And even if that comes, like for example, yesterday some research has happened, it has come to your textbook today. Now how do you understand, how faculty will understand, how do they make you understand? That it requires a framework. We built a framework for that. So that's why we call it Science Stack. And one part of the framework, there's about 5 layers in it. One part of the framework we tested in Harvard University. Harvard University is known for best lecture delivery. So this is called active learning. So when it's tested against active learning sessions, the human sessions, with this AI, side by side, we have taken the students, split them into 2 groups, and we tested it. Now the people who learn with AI, they can learn twice than the people who learn in classrooms. Those classroom modes are not normal passive classroom modes where somebody delivers a lesson and somebody asks a question. They're active learning sessions and they're better than any of them. With that, we're seeing a twice improvement. So you can learn twice in less time with 1 layer. With 5 layers, we're expecting 10 times better learning. That means we'll be learning whatever come out in the research yesterday, and we'll be learning 10 times faster. So that's the technology that we're trying to work with all the universities across the globe. We call it a Super Intelligence Academia 2030. Leading business schools in Canada, they are adapting to it. The Canada is trying to do this in the pilot their program in their Auditorium state today. So that's where the education is going. So everything is going to transform. All of us are going to transform. But the only thing, we should just have a right frame of mind. If we keep the right frame of mind and right target, we can get there. So I think I want all of you to just make your mind that it is possible to get there. Don't stay back away from this revolution. This is the biggest human revolution possible. That something like this has never seen in the history of humanity, right? Where just one power, one fire, and one bomb can create so much intelligence. Now can create so many big wonders in the world. So thank you for this opportunity. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, sorry.
How the teachers has to be prepared well enough in order to face that?
Teacher's job now is changing, and now the faculty job is totally changing. Now you are not as we see it in 5 years. Right now you are a content deliverer. You are actually delivering a content. You are giving a subject to them. That will change. You are not delivering a subject to them. You are not imparting a content to them. You will be motivating students, and you will be helping them solve their problems. So our human edge will come in, just motivation part of it. This content delivery and everything is to be taken care by the technology framework. So it is required. Otherwise, without technology, we cannot make any strides into it. So teachers will be more relaxed in one sense because you don't have to prepare your subjects. That will help you prepare when you're interacting with students. Colleges itself, estimation now is in the US, all the big investors, like Vinod Khosla, that Sun Microsystems, the estimation people are thinking by 2030, the education system itself will become irrelevant. Okay, what they're saying is without any intervention. So with these kind of interventions, with the technology interventions, it is possible to stay there, stay in the business. So what will happen is you can catch what's happening in the what's happening in the research. You can still catch it with the help of technology, and you can give the relevant content. And when you give the relevant content, when it becomes interaction based, when it becomes hands on, and it becomes like more like a startup accelerator, it will become like a startup accelerator. Colleges will become more like a startup accelerator. Learning accelerators. Students can even learn outside, but then this will act as an acceleration center. So students, teachers need not have to, pace against the things which is happening. Get prepared to learn the technology and get interact with students. Now get involved with students' real problems, not subject problems. Subject problems will be solved. Now the real problems is why are they struggling? Where is the lack of motivation? Why somebody is not motivated? How do you make someone happy? How do you make them motivated so that they can come to college every day early and then learn it? In US, research happens when people stay up to 11:30 in the college. It never happens here. Students, 9:30, 10:30, 11 is a common, because they think that they are doing something which is changing the world. Something which is changing, the entire world is going to change. They are motivated. They come and do it. So that kind of motivation we should bring into the college. That mostly it depend on the kind of examples that we set for the students. That's where our job is, like current job. It's going to be much easier than preparing for these subjects.
That could require the infrastructure.
Yes, and luckily for your institution, they are aligned towards that, and we are one of the few institutes in the world who are introducing this Superintelligence Academy program. We are already signed up an MOU with ICECIT now. So right now you're going to get all that. You're going to get the infrastructure that you need. You're going to get the kind of support that you need from the industry. You'll get it. So that's going to happen. So those who do not adapt, it's a very, very big challenge. It's an existential threat. The institutes who do not adapt, or even anyone who doesn't adapt to AI, forget about the institutes, anyone in the life, even an artist. So we never used to think technology would impact an artist, right? We never thought in our life. But then now the artists are getting arts, commerce, everything is going to get revolutionized.
So how can we motivate them to get themselves for a self-study or regarding the technology?
How? The
Like
motive.
they are lacking, our generation are very lacking self-study and self-learning, and they are very lesser to read some papers,
Yeah.
they are very less in. How can you motivate them?
The question comes back to not the self-study, the self-learning, self-motivation. So it comes back to self-motivation. How to motivate students like they can actually, they can come and
Now
spend.
we have only to threat them with the marks, that's all.
Yeah.
For the marks basis, they will read.
Yeah.
Apart from that, how can we?
I think the first thing, I'm not sure, you are the experts in this field. The first thing we should in the education field, you are the experts. The first thing I would say, as a student, as my experience, is to step away from pushing them for the marks. That's not going to happen. Take one step back.
It's the last step.
Yeah.
It's the last step, you can do that.
Yeah.
But initially, how can we start them?
Right now, for some subjects, for example, AI and all that, the world is motivating them. You don't have to push anything. The world is like changing so fast, they know that. In China now today, you can walk into the hospital, from diagnosis to discharge, the AI will do it. You don't need a doctor. Doctors will only come in whenever is necessary. That kind of hospitals have come out. Those kind of things, when they see, they get motivated on themselves. Maybe you can connect all those revolutions which is happening around the world. One of you can spend time on it. We also have a plan to come up with a micro-learning platform for it, wherein you get that updates every day on your, when we roll out these AI books, right? So right side there's a space for it. So you get all the output, what's happening in the industry and motivating factors, you get it there. So once you see that, the potential what's going to happen, then you'll get motivated. Like when we landed in Mon, many people dreamt, I thought I should have been there in ISRO, right? So that's how it should be. So when things do, then that happens. That automatically happens. Maybe that that is something, like stay updated in all the fields what's happening, right, latest. Bring them to students and just show that this is motivating them, and then they learn on their own. So we don't have to do anything much with that. So self-motivation, if you do it, and then the self-study and everything will happen.
Self-motivation is the problem in this generation.
Yeah. But if you see the results, then they'll be motivated. No. If you want, for example, this weekend, how many of you want to go to Mars and come back? See, motivation is there in students. Although it sounds impossible, trust me. Remember this word, okay? In 5 years, before we all retire, I used to take, my generation, people used to take, when you get your first job, we used to take them to Orion Mall and all that, show them the malls and get them some nice dinner and all that, right? Now, in your career, you'll be taking your parents to Mars. Trust me, this is going to happen. You go to Mars and come back. So now you need to prepare for it. If you don't work for it, it will never happen. It's never going to happen. You're going to stay here only in Tumakuru and some small villages, maybe DD Hills. You go to DD Hills and come back. That's all. So if you want to go to Mars, then you prepare now. So forget about marks. Think about Mars.
Thank you very much, sir, for your ethical presentation and motivation for student as well as our faculty members also. There is a small felicitation for you. Now there is a tea break now. We can have a tea immediately. And the session will be start after tea break.
10 minutes break to the break. And
Those who are going to present the papers, there is a 10 minutes break. Afterwards, go to your venues.
Those who are having a presentation at the media center.
Media center, you can have a tea and stay back here.